Hi there, it's Helen Godden here, all the way from Australia, and I'm Handy Quarter Sweet 16 Ambassador, and today I'd like to show you how to get an all-over quilt design across that quilt top in an easy way, a technique that I call road maps. So I've brought along a sample for you today to have a look at, and this is a lovely quilt top with batik fabrics and some dark fabric for contrast in there, and I've managed to quilt an entire design across just this block for the demonstration, but this technique would work right the way across that entire quilt top quite easily by creating a road map for yourself. It minimises the amount of thinking you have to do while you're actually quilting, and it means you don't need a GPS to get to where you're going. The first thing you need is to mark your quilt, and there's a variety of markers out there in the market, so let's have a quick look at those. You've got your blue wash away style markers. There's the different chalk style of markers. This one's a very fine one. This one has all the different colours in it, and you need a variety of these tools in your kit to work on different fabrics on different projects. There's also a clover marker that comes out white on a dark fabric. A lot of people have these style of markers that have got that little roller wheel on the inside there, and that's great for some jobs, but these little wheels are designed to run straight. So when we're trying to draw a curve on our quilt, these are not the ideal tool for that occasion. So you need quite a variety of tools there. My favourite is this panda pencil. No pandas were injured in the making of this pencil, but it's great for working on dark fabrics. This one in particular will give you a strong white line on a dark fabric, but then it irons away. So if you overhandle the quilt, the markings won't brush off by accident. They don't disappear until you've ironed it away completely. So it's a great one for working on our dark fabrics. Now these road maps I want to show you, I'm going to demonstrate first on paper, and then we'll move to the actual quilt. So what we'll do with our chosen marker, depending on the fabrics we've got, is make a road map for ourselves to follow later. This particular road map is going to be a simple collection of curls. So you make your first large curl on that quilt, and then at any position join your next curl on. So as long as it's attached, we're going to join on that curl, and another, and another. And all I'm doing is ensuring that the entire area of that quilt is covered with those curls. So on a large quilt, say 2 yard square, you're going to draw those about, I'm translating here, about 5 or 6 inches each curl. So fairly open and big, moving across that quilt, making sure they are just joined onto each other, okay? So that is our marker. I've used the pencil to be the marker on the quilt, and then the Sharpie here will be my stitching. So from here, you're going to stitch, let's say, 1/2 inch away from the chalk line that you've made, or the marking that you've made. So 1/2 inch following that curl. And just keep following one side of that line. You'll be able to find your whole way through that pattern. Right out to the end again. So it ends up being a continuous line that you can follow, and you haven't had to do too much thinking along the way. You've done all your preparation work with the marker, and then the stitching becomes quite easy. It doesn't have to be totally exact about that whole 1/2 inch thing, as long as there is a fairly consistent gap around that initial marking line. The end result, I think, looks pretty good. So now we've got this lovely red and black section of the quilt that I'm going to show you my road map technique. So I've got my marker, and it's going to show up really well on these dark fabrics. And I'm going to start by drawing that continuous curl that just one touches the next. And just ensuring that you've generally filled the area with this road map. So just like you hope that a road map will take you to every area of the suburb, well, that's what we're doing here, is making sure that the roads we're drawing will fill that block. If you have trouble at all with these curls, they're really an open number 6. Okay, it's like a 6 without finishing it off. And I'm just looking now to check that every area is filled. Maybe one more up here. But of course, if this was a whole quilt, that design would continue right the way across, but I'm just demonstrating in this one block today. Needle down and needle up, and I bring up that bottom thread. And now I'm going to stitch about 1/4 inch from that marker that I made. And don't worry about where you end up going in this block. You will always end up coming back out the same part you started. So it will take you for a full drive around this block and come back out the other end, all without a GPS. Who knew? You can see I'm not being too concerned about being exact, because once that marker has been ironed away, what I'm left with is a lovely flowing line, and that's more important than being absolutely accurate in the whole 1/4 inch idea. And you can see I finished where I started, right back at the starting point there. So when that's ironed, that'll look pretty terrific. I'd like to show you now how we can do that in a much smaller version, in a micro version, in another area on this quilt. So now I've just moved that quilt around, and we're going to do the same road map design but in a much smaller area, more of a micro design. But the same process of drawing our curls on there with our marker, our panda pencil. Okay, and if you're happy with that, you're ready to do your follow your road map. So you can see that's a great way to work into a border or a block on a small scale as well as on that larger scale to get that whole quilt done fairly easily and quickly. So that's my road maps. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.